So yesterday, I took my mom to get her COVID vaccine. Now, she's over 65, so she's eligible to get it at this point. I'm not. I have to wait a little while longer to get it. But I told her I'd take her, and that's no issue for me. So you'll see my car is still marked up because as you go through the line, they start marking up your car. Let me tell you a little more about that. In South Florida, the way they do it is they have these very large vaccination sites. They use the stadium where the football team plays, some of these very large parks where they have a lot of roads that go along. And what they do is they have you make an appointment so they know how much vaccine they have. And then you show up at a time, any time really during the day, time near your appointment probably, and then you wait in a car line for a couple of hours until you get your vaccine. You go along and they keep moving you up in the car line, and then ultimately you wind up being at the station where they provide the vaccine, and they'll actually bring it to your car. You never get out, and they give you your vaccine. So it's very comfortable that way. You're not waiting outside. It's not hot. It's not cold. It's not anything. You're just waiting in your car. But you're in a car line for a period of time. Now, driving my Tesla was actually a huge benefit because we were in line for a couple of hours. You know, you move up a couple of feet at a time, maybe, 2 car lengths or something at a time, you move up. So as you're moving, it's kind of annoying. If you're sitting there in a car, you put it in park, you put your foot on the brake, you do whatever in a traditional non-electric car. But in the Tesla or most electric cars, it's really kind of nice because it has that hold mode. You drive up a little bit, and then you just take your foot off the accelerator, and the car goes into hold, and you just sit there. You don't have to do anything, and it's kind of nice because your leg gets a little less tired. I never really thought about it. Sitting in traffic for a long period of time like that is really pleasant when you're sitting in this car. And then a couple of times I'd put the car in park and just play a game or turn on a movie or do something else because you get bored at some points. And there were periods of time where there was no activity and you weren't moving at all. And then suddenly you would move a fair distance. So it was kind of one of those things. That's the way South Florida does it. I know it's different in every community, but it works for us, I guess, because we're densely populated. So it was kind of interesting to drive the car with going in traffic like that and stopping and starting a lot, just like you would in any place where you might be in a city and you're starting and stopping and moving. But because it was so long, it was actually fairly comfortable sitting in the car, and I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I wanted to share that with you. And no, there were no concerns about my battery usage whatsoever. I had charged to 80% before I left. The place we were going to was a little far away, so it took about maybe 20% of the battery to get there. And then while I was in line for a couple of hours, I think I maybe used 11% of the battery, give or take, so it really wasn't very much, not a big deal at all. And I never felt like I was in any danger of running out of charge or anything. So in addition to my experience driving the car to get a vaccine, I also wanted to share with you a couple of additional things that I've seen in the car, a couple of improvements through the software that I think were pretty good. So let's take a look at those now too. So they've changed the way they do the release notes now because they list it out a little bit differently so you get a better sense of what's happening with it. So among the things that they put in this release are a new game, another new game, a third new game, some driving improvements that I won't be able to use, scheduled departure information, it updates the way scheduled departure works, Supercharger display information. That one is actually pretty interesting. And then vehicle information, where they're talking about how they took away the Tesla symbol and they moved some things around, so you'll find most of your vehicle information down here in the bottom panel. So that one's, we knew that was coming. I think I showed you that in a previous release. The text messaging actually came in the previous release back at the end of last year. But I hadn't really noticed it for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't driving as much, but I didn't really notice the text messaging until I started using it a couple of days ago when somebody sent me a text and I was like, hey, what's that blue symbol on my screen? And then I figured out what it was. So these are the things that changed. So the Supercharger changes, what they did was they added in the number of stalls that are available at the Supercharger within that particular icon. So when I look at it, I can see that there are 11, and if I zoom out and I see the other Supercharger stations around, I can see that there's 26 at that one, there's 9 at that one, and so on. And I can just tap on them, and I can get the same information that I got before, where I get information about the Supercharger. Whoops, let me try that again. I can tap on it to get the information about the Supercharger like I did before. So this is the one in Pembroke Pines, and it tells me what's available. It does tell me that 3 stalls are out of order, so that's kind of interesting that I know that now. It tells me what the charging fee is there, and then it tells me what the amenities are, so I can see that there's Wi-Fi nearby, bathrooms, food, all those things that are around there. So that's actually pretty helpful. So I'm kind of curious now if if we look at the one that was the problem for me along the way, that should be this one. This one is the Turkey Lake one that I had an issue with before. And if I look at that, it says there are 3 stalls available, 6 stalls total. So I'm thinking it's telling me that a couple of them are broken, even though it doesn't list that here. Now, it's always possible that they've changed it, that they've actually fixed it since the last time I was there. It was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they've been fixed. I really don't know, but kind of interesting that they have that there like that. You notice that it says on there what the wattage is. So here's some that are 250 kilowatt hours max. So that's really kind of nice that they actually tell you that, so you know where you're going when you're looking for the superchargers, because those do charge much faster. So if we go into the games now and we want to look at the games, here's the entertainment, and we can see the games, new games. There's Polytopia now, Solitaire, Cat Quest, Fallout Shelter was there before, Stardew Valley, Backgammon, Cuphead, Beach Buggy Racing, Chess, 2048, Asteroids, 2048 is my favorite, I think, Asteroids, Centipede, Super Breakout, Lunar Lander, Missile Command, Millipede, Tempest, and Gravitar. So those are the games they have available. I believe that this new one they put in here, if I'm not mistaken, Polytopia, I think this one requires, you have to have, if you want to play online, you have to have your Tesla game profile. Maybe that's not the one, maybe it was Cat Quest. Yeah, this Cat Quest is the one that requires that you have to have a controller. So that's kind of funny, that you have to have a controller in order to play this game. Now, I don't have a USB controller that I can plug in. I could get one easily, but I don't currently have one, so I won't be playing this game, I guess, is what it amounts to, right? So that's just the way it works. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now to talk about the texting improvements that are in there. I told you there was a little blue dot that showed up on the screen. Here we've got a text that came in, and you can see that my phone shows that Darth Vader sent me a text, and I can tap it to see what's in it. He's going to send me another text, so that's all good. I can tap it now and see what this text actually is.
Darth Vader says, "Join me."
I'll never join you. And yeah, I can respond to it too, which is really, really cool. I can just do it with one finger on the screen as I'm driving along. Of course, I can also use the button. Send message to Darth Vader. I don't believe you.
Darth Vader says, "Search your feelings."
No, I won't join you. I won't be a part of it. So those are just a couple of things I wanted to share with you about the car. It's things that were going on. You know, being able to use the one pedal driving was really nice when I was going into the location, and then the ability to see where the superchargers are with the number of stalls that are available is really kind of helpful. And the texting improvements, I found that they were actually pretty nice. I found that they're much better with the text improvements than it was before. It was okay before, but now it's even better, and I find it works a little bit better too. And one last thing before I let you go, and that was something interesting that I heard Joe Biden say the other day about electric cars. He wants to make electric cars the standard for every type of a vehicle that the U.S. government uses, which I think is just absolutely astounding and fascinating and really moves it in a direction. He wants the U.S. government, of course, to buy American, which means that Tesla is up at the top of the list right now, though, of course, GM, Ford, and Nissan are also making fully electric vehicles, or will be in the near future, so certainly they could be considered for these cars. So I find that to be really, really fascinating.
The federal government also owns an enormous fleet of vehicles, which we're going to replace with clean electric vehicles made right here in America by American workers, creating millions of jobs, 1 million auto worker jobs in clean energy and vehicles that are net zero emissions. And together, this will be the largest mobilization of public investment in procurement, infrastructure, and R&D since World War II.